doesn't hold up to scrutiny when you start to critically ask these questions. So it's not about proving. Like, I can't prove anything to you. All it's about is asking questions and saying, I am not going to settle on anything. I'm going to keep moving forward until everything sits right.
Introduce me to the astrophysicist who's at your flat Earth convention.
Why do they need to be an astrophysicist?
Because science is a religion. And
science is a religion.
And science is a religion that doesn't discount the theory of God, because we're still looking on that. We're still trying. The thing is, we've
God exists.
But you can't see him. Just like you can't see space.
You can't see him. Why do I need to dictate God to you? God's for you, not me.
God's
like
for
your
everyone.
God, right? But you can't perceive through me. You can only perceive you. And with that, this is your world.
Yeah, I mean,
you ask the questions. Don't let anyone tell you anything. You ask the questions. When you feel things are right, then you can say, okay, I'm going to move on. But it's really interesting when you start asking some critical questions.
Things never feel right. We're still looking for the lion. We're still biologically who we were as primal beings. And technology and society and culture has evolved.
There's nothing new. Is that what you're trying to say? There's nothing new on this earth?
No, everything is new except us. We are the same. And we are these still primitive creatures who have evolved our lifestyles.
So you're saying there's new matter?
New matter? There's dark matter.
How do you know dark matter exists?
But is there new... There's nothing new, because everything, when people die, they go back to the earth, and then it comes back again. We eat the earth, then we push the earth out again. Is everything just moving into itself?
You're not allowed to be buried in a biodegradable casket in the state of Colorado and many others. There's actually enough copper under the earth through caskets and coffins to rebuild the Golden Gate Bridge about 100 times over.
Do you believe the center of the earth is molten like they teach us in school?
But hold on, that's not the point. Okay. But the point is where you get your information from. You need to do yourself a favor and make sure you're not led on by the nose, because it would be foolish of you to think that there aren't people out there with hidden agendas. Well, so you know that there are people out there who will conspire, who will act with nefarious reasoning and agenda, right? Can we agree on that? Now you're going to say that, well, that's fine with me. You know, their data's probably good. I'll go with that.
Even
and once you leave that point and keep moving forward, you're now on a false platform, or a platform that you deem to be okay. So I'm just saying, don't ever get to a place where everything is, where you settle. Keep moving forward. Challenge the shit out of everything.
Oh yeah.
Like don't say there's copper in the ground. Say, you know what? There could be copper in the ground. I've heard that there could be. Because why not? You know, why not?
How would that graves?
How would that? But okay. But being certain.
I know what's under the earth. You can go there. That's one place you can go.
Wait, can I ask you how deep do you know that they drilled into the
Forget
earth?
about knowing.
It was hard to climb out.
No, I mean, how deep do you think that, like, you know, people that actually say, you know, like they tell us in school that the middle of the earth is molten, right? We've only drilled 7 miles down. That's not even past the crust. How can they tell us what the mantle? That, you know,
I was told that, and you were told.
Yeah.
700,
density.
7-mile boreless superhole in Russia.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but I heard that they went down 7 miles and couldn't get any further.
Yeah.
That's where I'll go with that, and I'm fine with not knowing.
It's just saying.
Because we're doing a job on ourselves here. We're trying to change the way people think. Because there's not a fight. We're not going to waste our time.
No. Question everything.
People,
yeah. Exactly. Question all
Question
the things.
Flat Earth.
Yeah, of course.
Question the shit out of it.
I call myself agnostic earther because I can't say that it's flat because I don't know. What I do know is that there are holes in their stories. How can they tell us in school that the earth is molten at the center of it, but they haven't gone that far, so how do they know that? It's a theory. Just call it a theory. Call it what it is. You know, it's okay to not know.
Everything is a theory.
Well, and that's
morality is a theory. The 10 Commandments are a theory.
Yeah. Well,
God is a theory.
Of course, I totally agree with you. And so that's what I'm saying, though, is that, you know, instead of teaching children something as a fact and say this is what the earth is, you know, they're not wording it properly. And it's misleading, and it makes us grow up and go, wow, I feel like I've been lied to. It's like your mom that, like, tells you, you know, you can't have this because of this, and you find out later, like, she's doing the same shit, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever it is. Like, it's like, cool, so So, you know, you're going to tell me all this bullshit and tell me all these things are facts and then expect me to grow up and not feel like I was deceived once I find out that you don't really fucking know, that you're pulling fairy tales out of your ass and basically selling a religion to us. It's very dogmatic to believe that, you know, that density, something that just falls, that's density, right? But now they put this word gravity on it, and that's what holds the ball together. That's, if it wasn't for gravity, then we would be flying off of a spinning ball into fucking space, right? So gravity's so strong that it can keep fucking all of the oceans, all of this, everything stuck to it. But butterflies can break through fucking you know, the power of gravity to like fly around and shit. Like how is it? It doesn't make
aerodynamics.
sense. No, but it doesn't make sense though. The thing is that what they're teaching us, there's no proof behind it. There's no proof that this thing called gravity is the actual force. It's a theory, and that's what we're told that it's a fact, but it's actually still technically a theory. And if you look into it, you'll see that, I mean, there's a lot more holes and a lot more theories in things.
Astronauts come back with muscle atrophy because...
Do you know? Have you ever met an astronaut?
I've talked to some.
Yeah. I mean, I personally believe that they're actors. I don't think that they go to space. If you watch rockets, when they go up and then they arch. And we don't know where they go. They go out of our line of sight. So to us, you know, they're telling us that it goes up into space, but...
So what's the moon then?
What?
What's the moon then?
I don't know. I think the moon is like a septic and the sun is antiseptic. So it's like basically fucking like a battery. Like
Oil and gas and coal under the ground.
Yeah.
That's why they keep digging.
Yeah. Well, and they should keep digging. People, you know.
They should keep fracking?
Oh, fracking? No. I don't know. I mean.
Fracking is digging.
Oh. Okay. So fracking's not really good.
No.
I've heard a lot of bad things about fracking.
Maybe we shouldn't try to prove everything, you know. But
no, you're right. I mean, there's something.
I think it's an empowering belief to think that.
To not know. Right?
Well, to not know or to believe that, holy shit, here is this cosmic anomaly in a universe that is larger than we can even imagine. You know, the best description is space is stupid big.
Yeah.
It's stupid big. It's stupid big because you can't imagine it. You can't conceptualize it. You can't rationalize it. It's just, whether fact or not, it's that here I am, this tiny ant, and up there, as far as the eye can see and much beyond, is something.
Yeah.
Is air, is space, is changes in altitude, changes in pressure. The air pressure gets thinner as you go higher. As you go lower, pressure increases and density increases. And the more pressure and density you have within anything, a molecule, the more molecules are speeding around, the hotter it gets. Yeah. Which is why below sea level is warmer and humid. If you keep digging, I guarantee you it's going to get warmer. And as you go higher, Mount Everest is a pretty cold place. You get to the top of that, the air is very thin, there's no pressure. It's almost space. Because, everything is less. All the forces decrease. Gravity, you know. So I think if I keep going, eventually you'll just float. If you could breathe, you could just keep on going, you know, build a ladder to heaven.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that, you know, there's things in the video footage that NASA releases, their own footage, bubbles in space. I didn't realize there was bubbles in space, but they do actually practice in massive tanks, like water tanks, you know, to do the whole like weightless whatever thing. So I think that they use green screens. There's actually lots of evidence showing them using green screens, like harnesses when they're floating, when they're doing their tricks for the public, when they bend over and it looks like they fall and they're like catch themselves and you see the harness coming up and you see the green screen. Like there's people that have been that do this for a living, that do like that you know, edit videos. I'm not personally.
They have to make the movie.
So exactly. I mean, the same way that like Sandra Bullock in Gravity looks like she's fucking floating around and she's really in space. I mean, really, NASA should have been using them to do their stuff because that shit was way better than any of the other stuff I've seen from NASA. Yeah. And that's what's sad about it, is that when we can start debunking the video footage from the government-owned, government-mandated system, then it's like it's sad. It's sad that I can point out bubbles. It's sad I can point out harnesses. Like, why don't they just show us real shit? Like, why don't they show us a real picture? Why is
Pictures of the Earth?
Yeah, it's composites. NASA admits that they're composites because it has to be. That was their specific words from the guy that made the. He's like, I've never been to space. It's Photoshop because it has to be, because we have strips of imagery that we composite together to make an image. So why can't fucking ISS people just be like, float out, click, take a picture, send it back? Like, why is it always like the stuff that they show, like even the time lapse footage is ridiculous. Like they're like the lights on, like you can see lights, right? But we can't. I don't know. Just like there's no clouds. There's no. There's so many fucking anomalies just within.
The pictures have changed in a way that reflects the sea level rising, the eradication of land, more pollution. Like, it doesn't look like that beautiful blueberry that it did 20 years ago. You know?
No, it doesn't look any. All of the pictures are different. Like that's the funny part is it's
because
like,
we're changing the Earth. That's what's so radical, is that in decades alone,
we don't know though, because even from the 70s, the picture from NASA was a composite. They say that it was a composite. It's not. It's self-admitted. It's not a real picture. So that's the part that trips me out. Is like,
what is a real picture?
No, they told us it's not a real picture. You can't. Well, I don't understand.
I contest the notion of real picture.
You
I think that's an oxymoron in itself.
Okay, well they admit that it's strips of imagery composited together to make an image. So that's
what vision is. That's how you see it, strips and pieces. If you saw everything, you'd be blind.
It's not a picture. It's not a fucking picture, though. If it was a real picture, then we wouldn't be standing here having this conversation. Like, because I would be like, cool, I seen that. I seen the guy float out. The other guy's recording him float out. Click, take a picture. Like, it shouldn't be like, okay, the one of the Earth from the moon, the famous one from Apollo 17, I believe. If you take that picture, I went to NASA. This is what made me start looking into this, right? Like 2.5 years ago, I went to NASA's website. I saved the image from their website. I put it into Photoshop. I brought the levels down, and boxes appeared around the Earth and around the lunar module. Like it was cropped in. So that wasn't a real picture. That's a way to debunk things that is their own pictures that you can take for yourself and prove to yourself that it's not a real picture. I mean, you know, that's really basically what got me looking into it, because I didn't believe it at first. I was like, oh, let me see this, and I went and did it for myself and saw it, and I was like, holy shit, this has been tampered with. If it was a real, it's the same way people debunk UFO pictures. You know, they put the UFO picture in Photoshop, bring the levels down, if boxes appear, then shit's been cropped in. It's like super simple, you know? Yeah. It's so crazy to me that like people keep arguing like it's a real picture, look at it. I'm like, yeah, look at it through the eyes of somebody who actually like, you know, does that, you know, for a living, where they play with programs and they can
tell what a real picture is versus one that's been doctored up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, yeah, it looks real when you look at it. You know, I'm like, oh, that looks totally real. Oh, wait, what's this? You know, like, why is this happening? Why are they giving us doctored images? And this is supposed to be, and then people go, well, Photoshop didn't exist back then or whatever. Like, yeah,
the only images we have of dinosaurs are doctored images.
Yeah.
Well, we also
that might be a complete myth.
We don't believe in dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs is a myth.
Yeah? There were no asteroids that hit the Earth and wiped out?
No. That was all been programmed into us since we were children, because they're hoping maybe someday they'll have a disaster happen and they go, oh, it's an asteroid, when, you know, they're really trying to depopulate.
An asteroid is something you can actually see coming down from space.
Supposedly,
to this Earth.
See, space is
You've seen a comet before, right?
Yeah, but there's stuff going on up there that we're really not
comet,
sure.
Man?
Well, yeah, we don't know really there's stuff going on up there, but once you kind of go, let me forewarn you, if you go down this rabbit hole, your life will change. It won't be the same after this, I promise you. I laughed 2 years ago at this too, and then I went, after 2 weeks of intense research and not sleeping much, I'm telling myself every time, it just can't be, and finally one day I said, man, I got to go with what my common sense logic and all the evidence says it's flat. Until I'm proved otherwise, I'm going to have to go that way.
But that's just an illusion. You choose whatever illusion empowers you.
Yeah.
And I don't see what's empowering about the illusion of a flat Earth.
Well, it's really not, because your life really doesn't change whether it's round or flat, really. I mean, life goes on.
I think it's a more beautiful illusion that every 412 years something called Halley's Comet comes around. or that in our lifetime we've had more supermoons, we've seen eclipses.
Yeah.
We've seen
those are beautiful. I agree.
Yeah.
I just because we believe the earth is flat doesn't mean we don't appreciate celestial fucking anomalies and crazy things that happen that they tell us only happen.
Well, if you believe the earth is flat, then every celestial phenomenon is man-made.
No, it's not.
No,
not at all. Everything, we don't know anything. This realization that I've had is making me realize and making me be comfortable with the fact that I don't know anything. And there's actually like a comfort in not knowing versus in thinking that you know everything. It's something, it's like a humbling, a very grounding, like beautiful fucking...
No astronomer thinks they know everything. Every astronomer is humble and
Neil
wowed.
deGrasse is the biggest douchebag I've ever heard talk. He talks about himself so fucking highly. You cannot tell me that he's humble.
Who's that?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He's the most
He is
arrogant.
amazed by how small we are.
He's an arrogant prick. I'm sorry, but he's a fucking arrogant little piece of shit.
He's an actor, and he needs to do stand-up. Is what he needs to do. He's really good at stand-up.
He's such a douche.
He's got a book called Astroscience for People in a Hurry, and it's an amazing little read.
Yeah.
Because of the wonderment.
Because of the wonderment of the bullshit that flies out of his fake fucking mouth.
Why is bullshit and fucking and somebody full of shit and a douchebag and full of themselves, why is that better for you than, wow, here's a man whose life has been changed for the better by the realization that we are this tiny speck, this blip on a radar on a timeline that has been happening for hundreds of millions of years.
Well, we don't
why
know
are we as this life form that has the consciousness to say no and don't know any better than the microbes who ate CO2 and toxic gas and burped oxygen for millions of years in the ocean just in order for the tiniest bacterium, amoeba, to form? Why are we better than them?
Who said anyone's better than anybody? What I'm
they
realizing,
exist too. So.
Yeah, of course, everyone's gonna exist.
Well, the female amoebas are oppressed. The male amoebas are really where the source of the problem is in the microbacterial kingdom. We want to talk about micropolitics.
I would love to.
I love you, Snack. Come back and talk.
Microbials, man. It's like,
yeah, dude.
The thing is, we are not flat. We are three-dimensional, you know?
Good, how are you?
Inside of this three-dimensional body is space, is the cosmos, is every single molecule that has been birthed since the Big Bang. Like, look at the list of...
How do we know the Big Bang?
The belief that the Earth is
flat. The Big Bang is a theory.
The belief that the Earth is flat is a disbelief in the periodic table itself.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What the fuck are you talking about? How?
We didn't know helium existed on Earth until it was found in the sun.
No, we went to the sun? When did we go to the sun?
Yeah, when did we go to the sun?
Unmanned spacecrafts. We haven't gone anywhere. Humans can't even get past the moon.
How many millions of degrees do they say the sun is?
We did not get anywhere close to the fucking sun.
How do you think they're going to get close to that?
So then where do we detect helium?
What temperature does
what
metals
probe
melt
did we
at?
send up there? What probe? What was this probe made of?
To something that's millions of degrees. How do you even get close to that thing? Nobody knows what that's made from. It's all theory, just like the Earth. They never drilled down more than 8 miles into the Earth, but yet they say it's got an iron core. It's all theory. No one's ever been down there. They don't know. No one knows. They've never been there. No one's ever been there.
Your cynicism doesn't seem helpful to the human condition.
Well, it's not cynicism. It's reality.
It's
Do you know how far they've ever drilled into the
You can't
Earth?
even say theory and reality, man, because like your entire theory is that reality is uncertain.
It is. And what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with realizing.
But you sound like you're talking facts when you're saying that these aren't facts.
It is a fact.
It is a fact that it's not a fact.
It is a fact that we have never drilled down more than 8 miles into the Earth. That is a fact.
Good. I think 8 miles is far enough.
Well, how can they say that they know that it's an iron core and there's all these layers and everything we've been taught when they've never been there to see it in the first place? It's all theory. They don't know. They just
We're
guess.
just looking for the
just like they say
there
the
are
stars
volcanoes in the ocean.
Well, of course, but that doesn't...
If you could help me, I would pay you $100, which is all I have right now, but I will give it to you if you could show me where the curvature is measured.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 8 inches per mile squared, right? I've driven across the country. Yeah, I haven't been to the Bolivian salt flats like you said earlier, but I have driven cross country, and it doesn't drop from LA to Florida. It doesn't drop 750 fucking miles of curvature. It's flat as fuck. Florida's flat. Oklahoma's flat. Kansas is flat.
Kansas is flat
Utah's
as a pancake.
flat. There's
Kansas
salt
is
flats.
400 miles across there. If it was a curvature Earth, there would be a 20-mile high hump across Kansas.
Is Mount Fuji flat?
No,
No, there's little mountains and stuff across the flat Earth, but Kansas would be a 20-mile high hump across Kansas if the curvature of the Earth was what they say. If we lived on an 8,000-mile diameter ball, the curvature works out to 20-mile
Balls are better,
hump.
man. You can dribble it. You can.
Yeah, if you want to play
hold it,
basketball.
You can.
See water curve around it?
Yeah, have you ever seen water curve around a ball?
The edges of the Earth would be a waterfall if the Earth was flat. There would be a point
unless
of the
it's
Earth
enclosed
where
with
the
ice.
oceans literally just dropped off
Have you
the
seen the model
sides.
in here?
I showed him. It's got Antarctica around. I showed him.
Yeah,
You
you
saw the ice wall. You've seen Game of Thrones, I'm sure. You've seen fucking ice walls. I don't watch it.
They're
but
all
apparently
melting.
Are they melting because they're telling us it's melting? Because NASA said it's actually cooling. So how can there be global warming
NASA
when the
just-
ice has grown?
NASA just admitted that the
Just
sea
saying.
levels are not rising.
Yeah.
They just admitted that.
Go
Yes.
ahead, look it up.
Look it up. Look it up.
We're on top of this shit, bro.
Then why are we flooding?
We're not.
The flooding is
The
from
island of Maldives is underwater.
Well, dude, there's been a massive geoengineering project going on.
Yeah.
And if you want to really get some scoop on the news that's really happening, go to geoengineeringwatch.org.
What is that,
Right.
like Breitbart for flat earthers?
No, it's not for flat earthers at all.
It's for
This
people
is
that
for
are
people
aware
that are-
of
that
the
wanna know-
climate control, the drought control, all these things they control.
The geoengineering projects that have been going on for the last 20 years, the chemtrail. You ever see the white streaks in the sky, the spraying going on? Do you know what's in that stuff?
Aluminum,
It's
barium.
aluminum, barium, nanoparticles. We're breathing that shit in. Do you have any? You need to do some homework, my friend. You need to get up to speed with what's really going on in the world.
There's
and I
that high
suggest
frequency center.
HARP.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the.
That's used to help
That's
with the
been
weather
That's
modification.
been debunked as well.
No, well, there's
I
some.
told him, I was like, that's hers.
Thank you.
But if you really check it out, go to geoengineeringwatch.org and get up to speed with some of the stuff that's going on.
Who's
Because
benefiting?
Hey, walking away.
who's benefiting?
Who's gaining from this conspiracy?
Well, that's the big question that we go, okay, the question is, this giant deception has been created by the controllers that run everything in the world, okay?
Money.
The money, the flow, they create the wars. Who creates the wars?
ExxonMobil.
Okay, whoever they are. Now, the question is now they created this mass deception over the last 500 years about that we live on a ball spinning through space, okay, and all this bullshit. Now, the question is, why would they create that deception? That's the big question. Why would they create this deception? And the question is, more or less, it's called basically a mass hypnosis, okay, over the population. And a lot of us have woken up to the fact that it's not real, and it's catching on. We're growing in numbers. This was a bad 2 years ago. It would have lasted 2 months on the internet and be dead. But it's growing now. It's been growing for the last 2 years. There's millions of us all over the place now, and we're gathering together and having meetings. And it's a really cool thing. I've met some of the coolest people. My life's changed over this. My life seems to have more meaning because when you realize that all this shit we've been taught is bullshit, then you get right back to what's real and the fact of how precious life is, and that something created all this. Okay, this didn't happen. The Big Bang theory, we didn't evolve from fucking goo. Okay, we either came from another advanced race that genetically modified us and put us over here as an experiment, or that we're either slaves, or which a lot of us are, because everybody's chasing the dollar and working their ass off, and then the controllers gather little bits and pieces, and there's some very, very, very wealthy people that just a small group of them.
The dollar didn't build the pyramids.
No, that was by a very advanced civilization that was obviously here before. We're not the first people that rent this apartment here. There's been other races that
It was uninhabitable for the first many million years.
Well,
It was being bombarded by rocks, by asteroids, by shit that would, like, you can see impacts of craters of asteroids. Like, the Earth was a very volatile place for many, many years.
well, that's what you've been taught, but we don't know that for sure.
I've been alive forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, all our souls are eternal. We just inhabit this body for a very short period of time.
And
every time,
a very bodily focused.
right. And when we inhabit this body, all our memories from past life, whatever we were in past, kind of erase. We kind of start off a fresh slate. Although certain abilities that you've acquired through your series of lifetimes you've been through, that's why some people are really gifted at doing certain things. They don't have to try very hard at it because they've obviously it's been ingrained in them. They just naturally know how to do it very well. They didn't have to start off from scratch. Whereas some people are here for the first time and they're really struggling, trying to get into the swing of things. You know what I mean about that. Everybody's on their own personal journey. This whole thing is a personal journey with everyone, and it's a fascinating subject. And I really enjoy meeting people like you that are really smart and challenge things and think about it because.
But it's like a very limiting belief.
Well, it's not, because the hardest thing is to take everything that you've been taught and believe, and just your ego, and just set it over here and kind of start fresh and open your mind to something new and look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from outside the box. And then if you still want to go back, what makes you feel comfortable with what you know and what you believe in.
Stars, man?
Well, here's the thing about the stars is that
get a telescope here before the end of the day.
We had a telescope. You can look up pictures of stars on the telescope. They're flashing, blinking lights. Okay, here's another thing.
You think every star is a flashing, blinking light run by what? Electricity?
We don't know what causes it. What causes?
I hear a lot of you don't know.
We don't know what causes a firefly to light up.
What does a firefly have to do with a star?
I'm telling you, what causes a firefly to light up? Do you know what causes a firefly to light up?
The star is dead by the time it gets
bioluminescence. Bioluminescence. Okay, that might be what causes the stars to light up. Bioluminescence, soluminescence. Okay, that could be what it is. But listen, when you look at you ever seen the Star Trail pictures where they go around in a circle, where they do a time lapse, looking at Polaris, and you see all the stars going around in a circle? You ever seen one of those pictures?
That's because of the curve of the Earth. So when the Earth rotates, sometimes it keeps the same frame of perspective. So I challenge you to just contest this. So I'm going to listen to everything you have to say. What do you say about the live feed from the International Space Station? You can download an app and watch the Earth rotate right now, like the whole Earth. It'll show you exactly 3 point, like I forget, it's like 45% of the Earth at like an angle from orbit, and it rotates, and you can see all of it. So what do you say to that?
Well, first place, we believe that in a lot of us, not just me, but a lot of people, the International Space Station.
So, and I'm also going to say this, you're the first person I'm going to just completely hear out. And if I don't agree, I'm just going to not say anything. Well, respectfully.
First place, if you get a chance to go online and look up a lot of stuff about the International Space Station. Okay, because it's a hoax. It's not up there. They've been fooling us. We figured out that they use the space shuttles because what's it called? You know what a zero-G plane is?
Yeah.
Where you do free fall?
Yep.
And they float around in there?
Yep.
Okay, they can free fall for about 30, 40 seconds max before it's over with. And they have to start over again. That's as long as they can go. The problem with it is they couldn't do long shots that way. So they used the space shuttle because it's bigger, and the space shuttle can go up higher. In the space shuttle, they can actually get 103-second shots of a free fall, and they spliced them all together. You can go. There's people that have figured this all out. They've been fooling us with the space station. They're not up there floating around the space station.
Okay, so what do you say to the fact that I can put a telescope on this roof, and when the space station passes overhead, I can point it out? Like literally, I can there's a course, right? And there's a website, and I can set it to the exact long lat tracking of the satellite, and I can watch it come from exactly where the feed says to over my head in perspective time ratio, perfect. What if I told you I've done this?
You've done it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you can see all sorts of our satellites. Your phone works on them, as a matter of fact. I can locate you right now because there are 8 to 16 GPS satellites constantly tracking your location via triangulation. That's how you got here. I'm sure you didn't use a map in your hands to get here.
It's not done by satellites.
What is it done by?
All the cell phone towers is what they use to triangulate your location on your cell phone.
Okay.
Cell phone towers, not satellites. Okay. A guy is a whistleblower online that came forth, kept his name hidden. He says, I can tell you for a fact that I know they're using the dome that's up there to bounce the signals from the satellites back down to us. There's no satellites flying around up there.
No, he's saying there's a different spaceship. The amount of manpower just to create the material, that's like, I can't even count what that would be at 20. And then the fuel, not to mention the text, the people who do the software. There's like a whole fucking civilization of people that are dedicated to like that.
Have you ever looked up what NASA's helium budget is?
Helium.
I fucking love me.
No, for sure.
Look that up sometime. See how much money they spend on fucking helium. And you wonder, what the hell are they doing with all the helium?
Because you mix it with other stuff, man. It's like a chemistry thing.
No, they're building balloons. That's what the satellites are. They have, and you can look that up online and watch giant fucking balloon launches the size of 3 football fields. It's a very sophisticated operation. They've been doing it for 50 years now and launching down in Antarctica. You can see videos on YouTube of them doing it. And they're huge balloons with these giant satellites. And one just crashed in Brazil. And people with their cell phones went out and got a picture of it. It was still beeping when it came down for a soft landing. You could see the solar panels. It was beeping.
Okay, so
they got 8,000 pound things, these giant fucking balloons that they float around the jet stream.
So do you accept magnetism as a theory?
Magnetism. Yeah, I played with magnets and very strong magnets. So
do you accept the science of magnetism as a theory? So you accept like hot air like creates lift, like that's a theory, like in science, like it's part of an incomplete tree of knowledge. So we call it a theory.
Hot air rises. That's a fact.
If it's testable, repeatable, like that, that's what we're trying to stick with.
Cool. So you guys,
whatever's testable and repeatable.
So you know how gravity and magnetism works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the mass of the Earth creates this thing called north and south polarity, right? So that's what your compass spins on. So can you explain how, in my hand, a magnet will work exactly like a compass, but once we apply it to the plane of the Earth, it is now a different function. So I now have a source.
Because the Earth has its own magnetism. It has its own magnetic
and a compass always points to north. It doesn't ever point to south. It always,
You can't have a pole of a flat surface.
So do you?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
It wouldn't. So if I took a compass, right, and I go to the North Pole, it still points to north because it's a magnet. So in that theory, like I would go to where, and I would end up like where would the compass be taking?
Well, theoretically, if you were at the very South Pole, okay, and I'm standing right at the South Pole right now, and I have a compass.
So freeze.
And if I point it any direction,
if you're at the South Pole, you're at the edge of the Earth.
Say you're at the bottom of the Earth and you're at the South Pole, right at the very South Pole, and I stand at the South Pole.
And you take a step back, you're gonna fall, right?
No, we don't know how far it goes. There's more land beyond there, according to old Buddhist
if we live on a
maps,
ball, like they say, okay, we live on a ball, like they say, and you're down at the very bottom supposedly on the South Pole, where the South Pole is, and you're staying on the South Pole. As you point your compass toward the north, as you move around, it should be north all the way around as you turn around.
Bro,
correct?
The Japanese really counted on the Earth being flat when they bombed Pearl Harbor. Like, do you guys know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of.
Do you know what map that pilots use that is the most commonly used map? Is a Datum 84 map. It's a flat projection map. Why wouldn't they use a globe projection if we're flying around a fucking globe?
Because the perspectives for long latitude are easier to read in lines. It's hard. It's difficult to be a pilot.
It's difficult to find the curve when there is no curve.
Yeah.
It's difficult
Hey, I got a good one for you. I got a real good one for you. Go on Google on your phone. Ask Google the curvature between whatever points you want. New York, Los Angeles. Ask Google the curvature. See what it tells you. You ask Google anything. What's the tallest building in the world? Instantly, within a half a second, tenth of a second, it will give you a whole page full of all the data in the world about all the building, the height, everything. But ask Google the curvature. It won't give you an answer. It can't. It'll blow your fucking mind.
Because it's pi, buddy. Right? It's an infinite answer. It's organized. It's because it's pi, buddy.
Let's take this.
And then honestly, like if you go by, like the planes of the Earth change significantly among that. Oh man, okay, I'm good.
Try it. You'd be surprised. Google. Ask it.
I'm literally gonna do everything you asked just for the sake of being like a thorough, respectable human. But like, I'm not convinced.
This shit'll blow your mind, dude.
I really appreciate you, buddy.
Check into it.
I'm glad we're friends.